Mr. Dekkers, yeah, thanks very much for speaking to us. I hope you can hear me now. I was just asking you about yes, I was just asking about sales in emerging markets, because that's really given a boost to your earnings, and how concerned you might be about inflation in countries like China and Brazil, because of the impact that could have on demand for your products and then growth overall.
Yes, well, it's a very valid question. Because we have had a relatively low inflation environment over the last number of years, and now there are some speak about inflation in China, which we think will be relatively well controlled by the Chinese government. But we do see in our material science business, for instance, quite a lot of pressure on raw material costs and energy costs that we haven't all been able to compensate with higher prices ourselves.
So are you concerned about raw material costs rising even further?
Well, if the economy gains some strength again, I am concerned about it. But if we looking at a relatively sluggish economy, I don't really see a good reason for raw material costs to increase further.
And do you have then, if they were to increase further, how much room, how much maneuver do you have to raise prices?
Well, as I said, in material science, we've raised prices significantly in the third quarter by around 7%. We had growth of 7%, so that means our volume did not grow. But the 7% going forward may be challenging when the economy doesn't really grow further. So I would say that we're probably at a relatively stable price level now, and therefore cannot really absorb higher input costs for raw materials and energy.
You don't sound particularly confident about the outlook economically going forward as we go into 2012.
No, I think I am confident in the sense that we do expect a few percent global growth in the economy for next year. But what's very important is that the politics, both in Europe and the US, become more stable, and that there is much uncertainty, much less uncertainty in the political system, because that clearly has an influence on confidence in the real economy.
And of course, we have just had, you mentioned politics, and we have just had this emergency summit of European leaders in Brussels, and they came to some agreement on Greek debt write-downs and bank recapitalization and boosting the emergency bailout fund. And I'm just wondering how optimistic you are about the economic recovery in this region.
Well, I am optimistic if indeed, as I mentioned, the political system in Europe can bring confidence back and get to a level of stabilization of the current situation. Because I think the inherent economy is better than is currently reflected in the demand in Europe, because I think of this political uncertainty. So in that sense, I really welcome what is happening, that the search for a sustainable solution is being pursued. I think this will help the economic situation in Europe and in the whole world.
Well, thank you very much again for joining us on the program. Marijn Dekkers, Chief Executive Officer of Bayer.